The only thing that made it kind of scary or just kind of seemed not as tangible was that it was mainly white males in the industry. They kind of talk in a different language about film. Like I talk like this about film. And the only person at that time I saw talking this way was like Spike Lee and Melvin Van Peebles did. And so now you see more people like Ryan Coogler with his thick accent that I'm like, okay, you can just sound like yourself and not have to like use all the film terms in one sentence to show that you know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to be somebody.
So make a way, make a way, make a way. Hello everyone, I'm Hallease, a digital storyteller, video producer, endeavoring to persevere as always, and welcome back to another episode of the Trying to Be Somebody video podcast, where I interview mostly people of color in creative careers with the goal of helping you. Today on the podcast, we are interviewing Maya Table. She is an amazing, amazing director. If you have not seen any of her work or don't know of her, get into it, bruh, because she has directed countless music videos for very well-known artists. She's branching into television directing right now, and she has also directed 3 episodes of my web series, This Could Have Been an Email. And I wanted to have Maya on the podcast for a few reasons. One, she was my mentor during my Adobe Creative Residency, and I am so grateful that I had her as my mentor because she just exuded a level of calm and confidence that I needed through that year. And we ended up being great collaborators through This Could Have Been an Email, my web series, which was part of my Adobe residency project. Another reason why I wanted to have her on the podcast is she's incredibly confident. She knows who she is. She knows her worth, and it comes through in her confidence. Something that I think tends to be common in the film space is arrogance, and it is confused for confidence a lot. And it has been so refreshing to meet someone like her. Representation matters, like to see another Black woman, at least for me personally, again, she's my mentor or was my mentor, but to see another Black woman doing what she's doing in the field that she's doing it in and be just unapologetically herself about it has been really a joy for me to see. Frankly, I wish I'd seen someone like her or had someone like her in my life sooner, but I'm grateful that I get to see and be in her realm now. And so to tee up our conversation, I really want y'all to focus in on her confidence and how her confidence isn't arrogance. Her confidence isn't boastful. Her confidence doesn't make you feel less than. And even though I think all of us can't be a Maya, right? We all can't come into our creative and professional careers having that level of confidence, but we can try to have people in our sphere of existence that exude those qualities that we want to hope to embody. And so, yeah, throughout this episode, that's what I want you to kind of pinpoint and see what you can pull from. See how she approaches her confidence with skill set, with practice, with time. And even though we couldn't all be nurtured to maybe have that confidence built into us or have it be part of our inherent nature maybe to be that confident, we can always see others who have it and try to practice to have it ourselves. And so, yeah, without further ado, I'm so excited for y'all to get to know Maya a little more.
Hello, my name is Maya Table, and I am a director, editor. Was once many moons ago a producer. Single, ready to mingle. I always like to wrap it up with that because you never know who's watching.
Single and ready to mingle. That is Maya Table. This season of the podcast is the Know Your Worth season. And I don't think that's very inherent for people to be able to push past not seeing representation and decide to be that representation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was never a thought. I'm just like, what you mean I can't do it? Like, that's never been a thought. I think it's just how we grew up and how me and my sisters grew up, but everything was tangible. I have 3 girls in my family, and my dad he just pushed us. It was never in a hard way. When I think about it, it was never like, you have to get ABCs, but you kind of just set a great example, him and my mom. So like one Christmas, I remember I was a tomboy growing up. So I was like 13 and I was like, I want a football for Christmas. And he got me one. He didn't say like, that's for boys or nothing, you know? So I think he just, through those things, just showed me that I can do anything that I want to do. So I never had the thought of like, I can't make it or I can't be the next Spike Lee. I always saw it like I can be Diddy or Michelle Obama or whatever, just based on the skill set. Because I also knew that people just like working with the best, no matter what you look like. I could tell that like early on. So I was just always concentrating on this, making sure that I knew I was the best person for whatever it was. But it was never a thought of like, you can't do it. It was always just like a matter of time kind of thing.
A matter of time. So, how much time do you feel like it took for you to start to get the opportunities that you felt actually aligned with at least your perception of your skill set?
Yeah, almost immediately, because like in every stage that I was in for, because like when I was an intern, I interned at the radio station for a year, and then I got intern of the year, and I was like, because every time I do something, I just put 100% into it, and super loyal, super on time. I never like halfway do anything, because if you halfway do something, you might as well not do it at all. But I always find if you do something with 100% and integrity, and you're gonna mess up and just be vulnerable, then you'll be the best. So at the level of intern, I became intern of the year. I was like, okay, great, cool. And then as a PA, I just kind of, when I was PAing on set, I honestly felt like I know more than these people. I don't know why I used to feel that way, but I PA'd on sets for like 2 years. And then when some director friends asked me to help them, then I kind of, figured it out and knew what I was doing. But our first opportunities that we got were, I think like the third music video I produced was for Young Jeezy, and then one was for B.O.B. So it's kind of like you get thrown in situations and then you kind of like excel kind of thing. So those things help you understand like where your skill set is and where your heart is. So I think it just at each level kind of things happen pretty quickly. But I think it just speaks to like is finding people with integrity within our industry is tough. Finding people that are vulnerable is tough, that can say when they messed up or even tell you this is my skill set. Because I find if you tell people your skill set or where you are, they'll lean into you. They would rather trust somebody that is vulnerable and open and honest than somebody that's like saying what they can do and just pumping it up and they can't do that. So I think it's always been like a trust kind of level of things and just people seeing the vision just based on like my integrity and my heart. When I was in school, I also used to dance and came up with a dance agency. Like, oh, I want to have a dance agency.
Yeah.
And I danced in high school and I joined the NAACP in high school and they taught us how to write business plans. So when I got to college, I danced, but I also kind of created my own dance agency. And then maybe like 3 months before I was supposed to graduate, I ended up meeting Sierra. Her manager wanted to introduce us. And Sierra was just like, as soon as you graduate, I'm going to hire you. And so they waited on me to graduate. So I graduated in December. By January, me and her were doing a dance agency together. So that was doing that. And then still like, starting my producing career, which was producing for Jeezy and B.O.B. and all these other artists. That just goes to show just like you have to know the skill set and you also have to be a person of integrity and honesty that people like. And that's honestly been my secret.
Man, it's just like it's a good point because I know something that there's a saying that people say like especially in the film industry, it's like be at the right place at the right time with the know the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I would always add in like right place, right time, know the right people, and have the right skill set. That
Have
will,
the right skill set,
yeah,
yes.
because
Because people will ask for you.
yeah, yeah, and that's definitely been my career as well. Ain't been nothing like meeting Sierra's manager or anything like that. But yeah, I've definitely had very similar experiences to that. Just because I was just chilling in my lane, doing my thing, trying to be the best at my own little world of what I was creating, and
Mm-hmm.
then that led to more opportunities down the line. Would you say that you're where you should be right now, based on how long you've been in the industry?
I would say yes, because before I was directing, producing, editing all at one time, and just kind of, I just never put 100, not even 100%, get 100% of my focus into like solely directing and coming up with the style. I was just doing it and, not thinking too much about it. But the last 3 years, I got more intentional and about only directing And so when I look at how fast my career has gone from solely directing for the past 3 years, things have happened really quickly. So I would say yes. I always think that sometimes we just have to be more intentional about whatever we want. It can come a lot faster. Like before only directing, I was just building my production company and working with small businesses, like, small businesses like the Atlanta airport or Make a Wish and things like that. Just kind of like word of mouth and not really like putting myself out there, just kind of receiving the work that came in, which would help me get more work because, I would do a great job. But then when I started only directing, I started to be more intentional about, okay, well, since I'm only directing and that's my only source of income, let me decide like what's my style and just kind of have a stronger point of view. And then since I started doing that from, the first year of that has been on and popping. So I think I would say yes.
I want to talk about that a little bit more because what's been really fascinating for those of y'all who don't know, Maya was my mentor during my Adobe Creative Residency program. And it was really incredible having you as a mentor because you really are, not to age you, I know you're very, but you really are like a smooth, like where I want to be in 5 years. Like you're like, our careers are parallel in many ways, whereas you're just
Absolutely.
like ahead.
Hmm.
And mostly because, yes, you just have had more time in the industry and all of that kind of stuff. I want to know how you handled making that transition from wanting to focus solely on one aspect of filmmaking. So wanting to be like, okay, I'm gonna drop producing, I'm gonna drop editing for the most part,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna go like hard on directing. Like, how did you like handle that shift? Because
Yes.
my mind, my scarcity mindset mind, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, ooh, Make a Wish was a client, the airport was a client. Like those are really client, like coming from the producer, production company owner person who also works with
Hmm.
like nonprofits and stuff. Those are like your bread and butter. Those be keeping the lights on. Those keep your
Yeah.
salary going.
Hmm.
Those keep your contractors going.
They do.
How did you know you could? Ah.
Well, one, I kind of like never liked producing. It was something that I just was naturally good at. So I just say yes to all these jobs. And then at one point, I wanted to go into directing, and my whole portfolio was like baby stroller commercials because I would direct those for like Target and Walmart online. And it was just like a bunch of producing stuff. So it's like producing for Migos, Chanel Monet, Usher, Tiana Taylor, all these cool people, but it's still just like behind directors. And then also I looked at my like bank account and I was like, hmm, I'm paying all my bills every month, which was, I would say like 4K a month if you include like beauty upkeep and just all the things and like my Jeep and my apartment, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have any savings. And I was just like, I'm not the happiest with producing because people get on my nerves. It's a lot of people management, as you know. And I'm just like, let me just like do what I really want to do. And also with directing, you get paid so much more. So when I decided to pivot to directing, I'm a super risk taker, and I'm one of those people I just have to have like no kind of things to catch me if I fall. Because I remember Will Smith said you need to concentrate on your plan A. Plan B only takes you away from your plan A, which is true.
Yeah.
So plan A was directing. So I was like, I moved back in with my parents. Also, when I was renewing my lease, easy things weren't happening. Like my accountant, because you have to show like your proof of income if you're an entrepreneur. So my accountant was out because her dad was sick, and so I'm like, that was interesting because that's usually an easy transaction between us. And then something else happened that was supposed to be easy, and that's always my signs from God when like easy things don't happen. It's always a sign to like pause. And so I got three of those in a row, and I was like, this ain't working out. And even though I had
Yeah.
already paid my deposit with the next apartment, I was like, well, and I called my dad that night and my mom. I was like, hey, what you doing? Can me and Tuffy move in with y'all? And they were like, okay. So moved in with them, and then just concentrated on like when people would ask me to produce, I would just say no because now I can say no because I don't have like that rent to pay. And so I just concentrated on, focusing on like rebuilding my website that's just focusing on directing. And then I took a job as a nanny just because somebody asked me, you want a nanny with my kids? I said, sure. So I had two kids, but then I would use that money to create my first short film, my first scripted short film, because I noticed that as a director, you have to have something to show that, hey, I am a serious director. So I needed to do a short film. So I saved the money to make that. This is 2019. And then all the crew members that I hired as a producer, most of them worked for free on that project. And then I produced it and did the editing too. And then I also started telling people that I'm moving into directing now. So different clients that I had, like Procter and Gamble, or my sister's good friend is Google, Burke Solomon, who's head of Google Startups. So one time she was asking, like, hey, I need a director. So, I kind of spoke up about that. And then in 2019, that film that I created, I submitted to Issa Rae's network, because every month she'll pick a short film of the month. And she ended up picking mine for the May 2019 short film of the month. So I was like, wow, that's really showing me that I'm going in the right direction. And then by the end of the year, Jewel reached out to direct a commercial for Google. And that's just because, my sister and I actually happened to be like, yeah, she's a director. So now she can clearly see I'm directing. And then for Head and Shoulders, Procter and Gamble, they were like, hey, don't you want to bid on these commercials? Because they had seen my past documentary film that I did about hair, and plus the dating app film for Issa. And I'd worked with them a bunch in the past as like a producer, social media person. So just people gave me chances that were already familiar with me as like a good person that had a good quality eye for quality visuals. And so by 2020, I directed the 2 Head and Shoulder commercials. Then the pandemic happened, which worked in my favor, because I it's funny. Everybody else is like, man, but I took it as like, wow, everyone's at home. So now people can see like my true editing and animation skills. So I would just take anything that was fun on social and make it into any type of meme, or make it into any type of like just fun animation. And so that ended up getting a lot of views, and I ended up getting just a bunch of work 2020. And the team at Vogue reached out. I ended up directing the piece for Self Magazine and all these other brands, from just taking time to pivot. In 2020, I also did go to therapy. I wanted help being able to say no more strongly, because sometimes a few projects in 2020 I still said yes to, because I would feel like, oh no, I got to say yes. Or if I said no, then I would take a long time to help them find a producer. And I wanted to be able to just say no and like move on without like doing all that. So going to therapy helped that. And my sisters helped that positive reinforcement. And, it took some time, but I knew I wanted to do it. But therapy was definitely a big point. And then I also, I sold my Jeep, because when the panorama, I was like, it's so silly to have a Jeep. Because I was like, every month I'm paying, with insurance, $600, and it's just sitting there, not going nowhere. So I sold that. And, just put all my effort in, because I also felt like, well, if I'm back in my parents' house for a little bit and sell my car, ma'am, you have literally no excuse. No excuse.
And also, like, shame seems like a wasted emotion at that point.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Yeah, you're just like wasting energy feeling like.
It is. I did feel a little shame, though. I did feel a little shame. But then, people would always tell me the same thing. And I started to say, most people don't have an opportunity to move back home with their parents with open arms. That, and then moving back in with them was helpful for them, because the house is getting older. They're both in their 70s. So just different things like that they just weren't aware of, because they hit 70, and just different changes. So now I'm like, great, now I'm finally ready to move out. But it took a minute, and I wouldn't be able to save as much as I have, because, when I was trying to go like producing gigs and all this stuff, I never kind of knew how to save. So that gave me a chance to reach out to a financial planner to say, show me how to save, a lot of vulnerable work happening. So, it's a process, and every time you get stronger and stronger.
All right, y'all. I hope you're enjoying the conversation with Maya. A few quick announcements before we get back into the rest of the episode. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. A few things that you can do to help us out. If you're watching on YouTube, please like the video, share, comment down below. That really helps algorithmically for more people to see these videos come up in their feed and hopefully engage with them. Likewise, if you're listening/watching this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, feel free to rate us there. 5 stars is preferred, but we enjoy constructive criticism as much as the next person. So don't hold back, but yeah, 5 stars is preferred. Finally, if you want to take things a step further, consider joining the Patreon for this podcast, patreon.com/Hallease. There you get early access to all these podcast episodes, as well as exclusive content, merch, and more. It's a good time. With every episode of this podcast, we've actually been releasing them a week ahead of when they get released publicly. So you really do get super early access to this podcast in particular, as well as all of the other content that StumbleWell and myself produce. And then also, when I'm not here on this podcast interviewing creatives or on this channel telling my story and documenting my life, I also am a teacher on Skillshare. Over there, I teach a variety of classes around all aspects of filmmaking, post-production, and all of that kind of fun stuff. So if you're interested in learning more about the post-production process, maybe learning things like Adobe Premiere Pro or After Effects, check out my Skillshare classes. There will be a link in the description down below where you can get a 1-month free trial. Take all my classes, then dip. Like, real talk. Just saying. I'd love for you to stay. Please do. But let's get back into this interview with Maya. I will say this, the second half of this podcast, and this is not me trying to turn you off from the episode at all, but when I pick people to interview for the Trying to Be Somebody podcast, I do try to focus on picking people that I think will fill a void in the conversation for people of color in creative spaces. I try to do that as a producer when I'm looking for people to interview, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I wanted to interview Maya for me. And through the rest of this interview, you will hear/see that. As a producer and an interviewer of people, a lot of times through the process of interviewing someone, you're learning more about yourself or things that you might be working through that you're not even truly realizing until you're interviewing the person. And so watching back this episode, the second half of this interview, I can completely tell I'm interviewing Maya for me. And I'm going to give y'all some context as you watch/listen to the rest of this interview. I'm currently in the process of trying to uproot and relocate to another state. And I'm having doubts about that. I think moving cross country is a big deal. It is something you should try to think through. And so you're going to see through the rest of this interview how my questions are leading Maya to answer ideas around how do you be an artist and make a creative move or do a shift you need to make creatively, but also don't lose value in the things that I personally feel matter just as much, if not more, than my artistic career and practice. Family, friends. And so, for the rest of this interview, you're going to watch two Black women talk about maintaining a creative career and wanting to have a fully realized creative career while also balancing, understanding, coming to terms with the sacrifices that come with that and rationalizing how to work through that. So it is interesting hearing you talk about the adjustments you made, because you went pretty hard, pretty fast in just like everything you were willing to do to adjust. And like not renewing an apartment, selling the car, this and that. Like, how did you maintain, aside, like before therapy, which I feel like therapy is going to be the theme for this season as well, because you were like I think you're the third interviewee I've had who have like strategically mentioned therapy.
Yes.
But before that, how did you know to just keep moving forward on this path that I think on paper, you know what I'm saying? People would be like,
Yeah.
How? Just how?
Because I haven't received an Oscar yet or an Emmy. So you keep going. I don't have any shows on television. So it's like, why would I stop halfway? That would feel so unhappy to me if I knew I could have given 100% to something. I'd rather give 100% and then it not work out than to be like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. So that's always my motivation, like put that energy into it. And then sometimes when we feel like we can't go hard enough, you can go a bit harder, because sometimes it's like our ego is in the way and different things are in our way, or we feel like, well, I've been doing this for 2 years. So I think just kind of, just being prepared for when God says, okay, cool, now it's time for you to have your own show and things like that. So, and if you look at people and the people who've made it in their careers, they've had their different journeys, like Quinta and Issa and, all these people, and even Ava DuVernay. So, it's just kind of taking time to, be great in your journey. But I'm like, I haven't worked with Denzel yet. So many people. So those are like my keynotes of just like, okay, progress is happening, but let me see where I need to shift it to.
That's a good point. Because here's the thing: you can be doing everything right, everything like quote unquote right, and still fail. I know that
Mm-hmm.
happened to me fascinatingly enough, that happened to me like before the panorama, with everything that happened with the house and being displaced and then moving back in with our parents during like a lawsuit and suing and all of that. That was what, ironically, being displaced, like being on the homeless spectrum, was what made me start my production company.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, if I'm going to have a job and then still end up back with my family, I
Yes.
might as well
Yes.
do the thing.
Might as well. Yes.
I
Yes.
might
Yes.
as
Yes.
well be out here wilding because everything's
Yes.
made up, apparently.
Yes. 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 That happened to Dave Ramsey and his wife too. They ended up in their 20s having to move back in, I think, with his parent. And he said after that, that was kind of like his pivot point of like, we need to save better.
Yeah. Was it? I think for me it's just fascinating to hear you, because I feel like everyone has their threshold of like where they're willing, when and where they're willing to take calculated risks. And I know for me and mine, I still had like the calculated part being like, well, I got like 3 months of living expenses right now, so now I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna start the company. But you just went
Yes.
in. You were just like, nope,
Yeah. Yes.
flat
All the
out.
time. Yes. I've been trying to like get better at that because that is the key. That's my heart. My heart is like, fuck this shit. I start over. That is me all the time, every day. So my work has been the opposite. It's been like, let me actually take time to think about it and, look at other options instead of like throw it away, start over, So that's been my process. And then also is like, as you get older, you try to get more mature. But the bigger part of that, it's not even maturity. It's like I can't put my family through certain things over and over because they're always the ones that like pick me up and, all this stuff. So I've been like, let me just think of a different way. And so part of being like more responsible with like savings and things like that is because of family. Because I always think that would be like a misuse of, your family's love to be back in the same place over and over. Because I do have family members like that. And it's like, I had to tell one of them, your family is tapped out. We tapped out. We tapped out.
That's
Okay.
and that's actually a real conversation. I know, like, it's been hard for, like, I too have family members that have been interesting to watch, go through their lives and think to myself, you're making mistakes so I don't have to. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
learn from your mistakes
Yes.
and not do what you did.
Not do it.
At the same,
Yes.
yeah, like, how can I not be that way? I find it really fascinating, and I don't know if this is something that comes with age as well, because I'm in that mindset as well of like, I want to succeed for myself. I do. Like, there are things creatively, monetarily, I want for myself, for Mr. Hallease as well. But at the same time, I mostly just want to achieve things now so that if something ever happens to my family or people that I care about, because defining family, however you define it, I
Mm-hmm.
can help,
Right. Yeah.
in
Absolutely. Absolutely.
in some way. No, I know that you're in the process of potentially moving away.
Mm-hmm.
How does that? How does, like, knowing that that's part of your identity now? Of like, I also want to be able to help when necessary. Do you
Yeah.
have any apprehension of about leaving?
No, because my spirit is very much like I told you. Fuck it, I leave it now. You want me to come home now? Yes. I would drop because like family and my very best friends are like my whole life. Loves my life. Like so, this past May, my younger sister bought her first home in DC. So as soon as she told me, I'm like, I'm moving with you. What do you mean? So I moved with her for the first 4 months, which helped her to get adjusted better. And I knew it would just having like a sibling there. And then my other best friend had open heart surgery in Philly. So when she went, I was there literally every day in the hospital with her, just sitting at the hospital bed every day. I'm like, that is what life is about for me. So Carissa is cute, but it's always about family. So sometimes it's just like, oh, kind word, or it's like apologizing or loving them in the way that they want me to love them. Like one of my best friends the other day was like, I don't want to use the word best friend. I really want to use close friends because it helps with my expectations. I said, okay, or when I go to New York, I usually stay with one of my other best friends, and all three of us are very close. And he was like, well, next time when you come, because I'm doing like my drag thing and my OnlyFans, and, could you stay at a hotel? And I was like, yeah, I was thinking about that too. We grown, I get it. So, and like my younger sister, she likes hugs and she likes being loved a certain way. So as I've gotten older, it's been like not being resistant to how my people want to be loved. Because that would be the most heartbreaking thing in the world, is for people that I care about so much not to know how much I care too. So I've just been working on like, how do they want me to love them? Because sometimes it's not money. Sometimes it's like time or effort or a word, or sometimes it is money, depending on the person. So I've just been working on like figuring out how do I love the closest people around me. That's why I haven't, like, moving to LA hasn't been a thing, because I'm like, I'm going to be home often because I like being up under them as well. So, I just like, I went to spend Thanksgiving with my little sister. I'm just like, what do you mean? That's not even like an option. That's just kind of, how I am. So I feel like I'll always travel back and forth to wherever they are, and probably see them like at least every 3 months if I do move to LA, which I probably will move.
That's because and I'm asking one for the audience, because I think like something that I think is perpetuated a lot in the industry is this idea of individualism, like hyper individualism within the film and video industry. Like I'm the director rogue out here making things happen for myself,
Yeah.
and I got here all on my own. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember actually, fun story. I remember, so I did UT's Los Angeles program. They have a domestic study abroad. And that was the whole reason I went to UT for my undergrad, was to go to that program, because I really thought I was going to go to LA like straight after school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy I did that program, because I realized I hated LA and flew my black ass back to Texas. But in so doing, I remember being in my sessions, and there was a TV cinematographer who came and spoke to us. And he was like, yeah, I remember, and he was like, don't expect to have a relationship for the first 3 years of your life out here. Don't expect to see your parents for the next 5 years. Don't expect, like, he just went in on all this stuff. And I was just like, keep in mind, at this point, I'm already engaged to Chris. Already been engaged. We might have already eloped out there, actually, now that I think about it. And so I was just like, that doesn't sound like who I am as a person.
Yeah, I'm just like,
This sounds like a hard pass for me, because I love storytelling, but not the expense of people that I care about.
Yes, it is.
And I just couldn't get on board with the hyper, I hate to say selfishness, because that belittles a lot of people that are out in LA trying to do their thing. I'm not trying to say y'all are selfish, but like just this hyper individual ideal that I think seeps into the culture as a whole. So something I'm struggling with right now is rectifying that now later in life, because at the time, I was 21, when arguably you should be selfish with your time, you should have that mentality. But now at 32, I'm like, oh man, okay, it's time to be selfish. It's time to leave, Texas and move to wherever it is. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Atlanta. We're just going to be trading spots. But I am trying to like rectify my feelings about that actively before the move, because I do feel like I've always lived within driving distance of my family. Like I could, if anything, if stuff goes down, I can be at your door in roughly 2 hours driving.
Yeah. And now it's just, a few hours flying. Look at it like that,
Yeah.
You just kind of save for it if you want to. But, anything that we want, we can have it. If it's like, I want ice cream today, you're going to get you some ice cream because you want it. So it's just kind of like making time and space for the things that we want. And it's so interesting when people make film like a solo journey, because it's absolutely not. Like when I'm on set, people are always like, You are so sweet. I'm like, no, I need every single person on the set down from like the intern, to the second AC, the first AC. Like every role is so important. So to be like a solo journey, I'm like, it's not. It's every single crew member. There's no crew member that's wasted. So I'm like, it's not solo. You need everyone. You need your agents. You need your EPs, everybody. It has a role. So I'm like, it is a total group effort. And it's really about managing your group.
That's very true. I feel like, at least when I was in film school, for sure, I felt like all the people that I would meet who were like, I want to be a director, they had a very like lone wolf mentality and like, you need to do what I say.
Mm-hmm.
And I always found it fascinating because it's like, you and I are both in the same film school in the same level, and I've been to the other classes you've been in. I know you don't know what you're doing, so
You know
why
what
am
you're
I
doing.
following
Yay.
you?
Right.
just
Right. Right.
just
Right.
because you've appointed yourself as the
Yes.
director.
That's a director. Because I think that's what people see on the outside. I think that's what they think directors look like. Or even not even just look like, feel like, the alpha energy. And you do have to
Yeah,
be an alpha, but I'm a more chill alpha. I used to say soft alpha, but I'm not soft. I'm more chill. So you can be a chill alpha and still kind of, command that presence that you want, because people also like to work with people they like. And where there's so many crew members that have referred jobs to me, I've been like, wow, that sound person or that PA or whoever have referred me so many jobs. So, be nice to people, value everyone that's there. And then also, I love working with people that are nerds about their position because those are the best.
yeah.
So you want to work with people that are the best in their position. So you got to exhibit that respect. It's a back and forth thing.
That's so true. I know for me, it's been really interesting being like a producer on set and trying to figure out, usually as sometimes the only woman, especially, and sometimes the only Black person on the set, and trying to figure out like how I show up and command that respect of people
Hmm.
without being harsh. I don't want to say that because sometimes I am quite harsh, especially if it's like StumbleWell's paying for it. Like, ooh, I'm gonna be real harsh with you. But
Hmm.
what are some of the things that is there anything that you've kind of learned from being a director on set and having to kind of push back? Like, how do you push back? You know what I'm saying? With all
Um,
these dudes.
I think my nature has always been really chill and nonchalant-ish. So I usually, if people like call me the caterer or the talent, which happens quite often, I just be like, because why would I be like, no, I'm the director, blah, blah, blah. They gonna find out in a few minutes who I am. And maybe that's a Scorpio energy too. I'm just like, can't wait for the burn to happen. So I kind of like that part of it. So you never have to. And then also just there are so many things going on in my head the day of filming because so much pressure is on the director, and I'm nervous every shoot. And I'm nervous because I feel the energy and the responsibility of like all the money, the clients that are there, and I want this to be great for them. So I don't even have the energy to put into somebody being disrespectful or even interviewing somebody that's like too long-winded because I know like there are certain shots that I need to get. And then even not just the shots, there are certain ways I need to communicate. So a lot of times I can be in my head a lot, because I always tell like my AD and my producers, hey, when I direct, there's a delay because I'm doing the edit in my head. Because most times I am the editor on my shoot. So with that, and then with the nerves of client, I ain't got time for everybody else. So it's just like, being nice gets my nerves out there and makes the team excited to work together because I kind of lean into them with that energy. So that's where they get that same excitement that I feel. And, just kind of concentrate on like what's in front of me because everything else is noise. That's what it all feels like. It feels like noise. Only thing that matters is me and the person from the camera, me and my cinematographer, and me, my AD and production design. Those four. And also the ACs too is like I've learned to have stronger relationships with my ACs. So I always have
Mm,
like one-on-one talks with them. So you kind of learn like who the tiers of who is important for you and your personality. And I concentrate on that. And so like my skill is being a nice person. So I need to have like a 80 around that's not so nice. It's like that balance so that we're always kind of like on a schedule and producers that are a bit more strict. And then since I have an edit delay in my head, I need cinematographers that already know the vibe. And I know that once they put the camera up, it's going to be beautiful. So it takes a lot of trial and error, definitely. So trying and failing is great. You know, going back to dating as I always do, I always say that when I talk, all my conversations go back to dating and Beyonce, and they do. It's my happy place. But like, there's this, there was this guy yesterday, and we had been DMing for a while, and we were supposed to meet yesterday, go on a date. We ended up not going on a date, but yesterday was the first time that he left me a voice note, and then we talked on the phone for like 30 minutes. And then it got late, and he ended up canceling. And he was like, "Well, next time I'm gonna drive out to you, and we're gonna have lunch together." And I was like, "Okay, that was cute." So we didn't go out, but I'm like, that was really sweet that we had so much progress in yesterday. So there's no reason to be disappointed about the little date that is going to happen later when it's early in the day, because it also got real late too at night. So I'm like, that's a few wins that happened yesterday. So I think it's like that with all the failures that we have as director. Just look at every job as a learning experience. Every job is like, I should have communicated better, or I should have got out of my own way, or I should have brought my own hard drive, or just kind of things that kind of are your deal breakers. You come up with those after you do some failures and some wins.
Yeah. What is it? I think it was we have mixed feelings about Seinfeld, but I remember I was watching an interview of him, and he said something that was like so poignant. He was just like, yeah, knowledge is painful. You know what I mean? Like, you become a better person. You learn a lot of things by going through pain.
Yes.
And
Yes.
again, ideally, in an ideal situation, yeah, you learn that pain from hopefully maybe someone else, not to put someone else on the burner, but like, you can see someone else in pain and be like, maybe don't do that. Is there anything you would tell your younger self? Like, if you could go back,
Yes.
when would you go back? Like, at what point, and then what would you tell yourself? If you
Yes.
could?
I would go back to my younger self in college when I was doing internships, because that, takes me to like early career, and say, like, communicate. Because I would be so scared of like messing up and doing something wrong. I wouldn't say anything when things were going wrong until like they got bad. Like one time I did this edit for this TV station named Pat TV, and I was in college editing for TV, and I'm like, sure. And so at one point, every episode had to be 28 minutes long. And this is probably like my 10th episode. 10th episode, I did like 25 minutes, and I turned it in. Boom, she sent it off, and she didn't check it because we've been working together so long. And then she came back and said, Maya, the episode was 25 minutes. It has to be 28. Why didn't you tell me? I could have just given you some random footage to put in that place. And now the episode didn't air. I never talked to her again. So, hope she well, Sheldon. Thank you for that learning lesson. So like that, and maybe like a few more situations like that happen where like I should have spoken up. That was probably like what I would tell my younger self, to just speak up sooner. Because now I speak up all the time, because it helps people lean into you, helps like producers like yourself say, oh, okay, I got it, or whatever. Yeah, I was just like so shy, and like I was so shy. I don't want to speak and somebody say I'm wrong, because then I would be embarrassed. I don't know why I would feel like that, but just finally got over it. Speak up, little Maya, if you hear me.
That's a good point, though, because it's like you need to decide when you want to be embarrassed, basically. Like,
Yes.
Embarrassment is unavoidable.
Yes, so
I
unavoidable.
Feel. So
it
just
is
decide.
Embarrassed all the time. I was embarrassed when I texted that last week I was talking about, but then we're going on the date, so it works out.
Yeah, so it's just like, decide when you want to be embarrassed. You want to be embarrassed at the jump, get it over and done with, great.
Yes.
Or you want to be embarrassed way after the fact. It's kind of like one of those things like, tell me I got something on my face. If I got a booger, just say it. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to wait till we've been through the whole freaking interview.
Yeah, because we get to the end of the date and I got a booger, then I'm going to feel like, oh, I can't trust you.
Yeah. You could have been told me. I was hanging out. We went to 3 different places, saw people I recognized, and you just let me out here in this world with a booger.
Not saying nothing yet. I'm getting my best flirty look like this, nose up. And
what are your goals for the next, let's say, like 3 years? I feel like 5 is so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Yes, it's not.
But when people are like, what's your 5-year plan? I'm like,
yeah, like, what is that?
I'm just grateful for the next 6 months.
Same. My goals for the next years are doing more of the things that I'm doing now, but it's like on the next level. So I directed one TV show this past year, but now I want to direct like at least a show a month. And then I finally am starting to direct like commercial projects, Hulu and Discover. That was really cool. So like doing more of those and becoming like the person that's a recognizable name. And same in the music industry land too. Is I'm starting to get more recognizable. So within all industries, it's being more recognizable so that there's more work that comes in. And I have steady work now, but I'm like, because I'm still like entry level in commercial space and mid level music videos, I'm like, the rates can always go higher and higher. So I would say that's probably, like I'm really happy with where I am now. I'm starting to see like the hard work and the accounts starting to match the hard work. So continuing in that journey of, TV, music videos for just like a few amazing artists per year. And, personally, hopefully I'll be like barefoot and pregnant soon.
I love that you want both. I love that it's not like an
since
either
I was
or.
16. That's why I'd be like, Lord, this been what like at 27, I was supposed to be like pregnant, have my kids, have my little child on my arm as I direct action.
Look, if you like it, I love it. Okay. Yes, I love that for you specifically.
For you.
Oh, is there anything else you want to add?
To all the lovely people out there, I would say believe in yourself. That sounds like a phrase that you hear all the time, but they need to put believe in yourself daily. Believe in yourself consistently. Believe in yourself even when you have knots in your stomach, because that'll make you press in on that email or press in on that DM or press in on putting that portfolio piece up on your website and not being like too much of a perfectionist about it, just putting it out there, because the more you put it out there, you're going to learn and grow each time. But you kind of hinder yourself from going if you're so precious with your work, you're so precious with your thoughts. Like if rappers just did one verse, we wouldn't know they were the best. If they only did 10 verses, we wouldn't know they were the best. It's like they do albums and albums. Sometimes on the third album, we're like, wow, Kendrick's amazing, just depends. So, it's important to put your work out there, but you start finding things that work for you and knowing that who you are is okay.
All right, y'all. So did you see what I mean? In the comments below, if you're watching on YouTube, let me know. Could you tell what I was trying to work through in my line of questioning with Maya? Again, I try really hard to make sure that the Trying to Be Somebody podcast, the interviewees I'm reaching out to can hopefully like fill a void or fill a niche that I'm not really seeing represented creatively. But sometimes the people I interview, it's subconscious, but it's like, ooh, I just need this conversation to happen. And I'm going to bring y'all along with me, but this one was for me, kinda. Don't forget to follow Maya. She's doing such amazing stuff, and she's really good about broadcasting that she's doing really amazing stuff. So definitely check her out on Instagram at Maya Table to keep up to date with all of the amazing things she's doing as a director, because she's out here, bruh. Like, for real. She is out here, okay? So next week's episode, we will be having Daniel Glover, also known as Star Puppy here on the internet. Oh my gosh. Hilarious. First of all, I'm sorry in advance because we are laughing all through the episode, but it is going to be so good. Stay tuned, like, share, subscribe again if you haven't already. Again, I'm Hallease, endeavoring to persevere as always, and this is the Trying to Be Somebody video podcast where I interview mostly people of color in their creative careers with the goal of helping you. I will see you next week. The Trying to Be Somebody video podcast is a StumbleWell production. Our executive producer and host is me, Hallease. Our episodes are edited by Christopher Narvaez. Our cover art for season 2 was designed by the talented, amazing, wonderful Natasha Cunningham. Check her out on Instagram at AboutNatLife. And finally, our theme song was produced by Jruckers and performed and written by Belief in Music.